Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, I've got a quick but great update about the Wii Cube 64. So in yesterday's video, the owner was trying to sell it for $100 or trade it for a POW Kitty. I was so amused by the product, I offered to send them a POW Kitty for free. And the owner actually responded to the video. And on top of that, the owner of the glorious Wii Cube 64 sent me a video of it in action. It actually works. There's a button on the front to switch this between GameCube and Wii and N64. On the back, there's an HDMI converter, and there's also a hole in the top of the console, I'm guessing for some sort of power. I am very happy that this piece of machinery exists. So true to my word, I asked them which POW Kitty they wanted, and this is the one they sent me. So I ordered it for them, except I ordered one with a little bit more memory. So Raph, enjoy your POW Kitty and best of luck selling the Wii Cube 64. But moving on, and next up we're talking about Game Boy emulation with PyBoy. PyBoy is written in Python and just got a brand new update. So version 2.0.0 is the latest release, and they say there's a lot of general fixes. Now there is something worth pointing out here, and it is pretty niche. But if you use PyBoy with OpenAI Gym, well, it's now been removed from PyBoy. I'll drop a link to this changelog in the description below in the event that you wanted to check it out. They have a new wiki explaining a brand new example. Next up, we're talking about Flycast, a Sega Dreamcast, Naomi 2, and a Thomas Wave emulator, and this one also just got a brand new update. So version 2.3 just dropped. It's the first update of 2024, and we've got a whole bunch of fixed games, including Initial D, Melty Blood, NBA Showtime, NHL 2K2, Monkey Ball, Samurai Showdown, and a whole bunch more. On top of that, they've added in battle cable support, Club Cart card reader support, gamepad dead zone and saturation settings, and Switch touchscreen and Joy-Con rumble support. Flycast is 100% free, it's open source, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Feel free to check it out. Next up, we're talking about an emulation front end for Windows, Linux, Mac, and Android. It's ESDE, which stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Emulation Station Desktop Edition, depending on how you want to interpret that. Anyways, they just dropped version 3.0.1. There's arguably three big things about this release. Number one, they've added in support for Android 10. Number two, they've removed Yuzu. And number three, they've added in Panda 3DS for 3DS emulation. On top of that, they've added in the Beetle Super Graphics RetroArch Core as an alternative for PC Engine. They've added in the new Geolith RetroArch Core as an alternative emulator for Neo Geo Arcade. They've added support for .neo file extensions. They've added support for .chd file extensions for the Sega 32X. And a whole bunch more, including a bunch of bug fixes. Next up, we're talking about Wii U emulation on PC with CEMU, and CEMU's up to version 2.0-72 experimental. Here are some of the changes we've seen in the last while. The Linux builds have seen some overall improvements and now appear to be first-class citizens like macOS and Windows. Significant performance improvements for macOS and Linux, including the Steam Deck. Improvements in Vulkan, bug fixes, and even more. Here's the example of the update that improved performance on the Steam Deck. So we can see here there was a 60% improvement in FPS, specifically for Breath of the Wild. This may vary from game to game, but that's a pretty darn big improvement. And speaking about improvements, next up we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation with PCSX2. So with this latest update, it makes games that needed high blending on Vulkan and OpenGL work with basic blending on all renderers. So we've got the before on the left and the after on the right, and things are looking a lot better. Moving on, and we're talking about the original NES, and if you've got one of these things and you flip it over, take a look at the bottom in the center. There may be a port there that you might not know what it's there for. Well, someone has created something to plug into that port. So here's the picture of the before, and here's the picture of the after with the custom-made adapter in it. In my opinion, this tiny add-on packs a pretty big punch. It's solder-free, it's plug-and-play, it supports 4-player wireless, with wired controllers working simultaneously. And there's even a whole bunch more. Retro Time is currently looking for 1 to 2 more beta testers. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to the series of tweets in the description below and feel free to check them out. Next up, we're talking about a couple of ROM hacks. The first one here is a double jump patch for Light Crusader from Billy Time Games. This one is up over on romhacks.org, and I'd argue it's a quality of life improvement for this Genesis game. And the second ROM hack is called Super Ice 64, and this one was created by the developers of Project 64 Legacy. This one is obviously a ROM hack of Super Mario 64, and they say you must rescue Princess Peach from the evil Boozer. The characters are based on Project 64 and Project 64 Legacy devs with brand new text, audio textures, and character colors. So if you're curious about a ROM hack made by emulator developers, I'll drop a link to this romhacking.net page in the description below and feel free to check it out. Next up, we're quickly talking about the unreleased Panasonic Jungle Handheld, and apparently one has surfaced over on eBay. As far as I know, this is real, and as far as I know, Panasonic made the best decision by not releasing this thing. It was meant to compete against the 3DS and also the PlayStation Vita. And I don't want to say it wasn't going to do well, but holy smokes, this doesn't look like it would have done well. The listing says it doesn't come with a battery or power cord, so it doesn't power on. $45,000 seems like a pretty steep price tag for this piece of hardware. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Would you pay $45,000 for the Panasonic Jungle, which I don't even think has any games? Or would you rather pay $100 for the Wii Cube 64? Next up, we're talking about the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, and news for this game arguably goes from bad to even worse. So taking a look on Steam, the reviews from last video haven't gotten any better here. It's still overwhelmingly negative with even more reviews. On top of that, it appears the game has borrowed some stuff that was created by a modder and did not credit them. For some context here, back before the game released, some people noticed in one of the trailers that there appeared to be some modded content. IGN reached out to Aspyr for some information, and Aspyr says the game does not include any code or content that is taken from uncredited sources. On top of that, they say we'd like to thank the passionate Star Wars Battlefront community for bringing this to our attention. When capturing placeholder footage for our announcement last fall, we mistakenly included content that is not in the project, and that mistake made it into the final cut. The upcoming release of Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection does not include any code or content that is taken from uncredited sources. However, unless I'm misunderstanding something, it appears that the stuff taken from a mod is actually in the game. This is from Reddit, and it says, on my PS5 copy, Ventress is still using the Ayla Akira moves. Anyone else getting this? Now, it's worth pointing out that people are saying that these moves have been patched out. The PS5 game has been updated, and the mod should be removed. So I think it's safe to say that the release of Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection has been controversial to say the least. Hopefully things get better for this game, for Aspyr, and also for the players. Next up, we're talking about the PS5 Pro, and allegedly more details have been discovered about this upcoming system. So apparently the PS5 Pro dev kits look identical to the existing PS5 dev kits. Does that mean that the final console will look the exact same as the existing PS5? Who knows? They're saying that the memory for the PS5 Pro is going to be faster and more efficient than the standard PS5, resulting in a 28% increase. The CPU between the PS5 and PS5 Pro is going to be the exact same. The PS5 Pro is just going to be clocked higher, resulting in a 10% increase. So it appears that the big difference between the PS5 and PS5 Pro is that GPU. We'll have to wait and see here, and if you wanted to check out these details, I'll drop a link to this article in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. Next up, we're quickly talking about Nintendo Switch emulation with Suyu, and as of this video, I was not aware of any official releases of Suyu just yet. However, over on their GitHub under Suyu releases, I can see a .apk, a .dmg, and also an app image. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link in the description below. It's worth pointing out, as far as I know, these are not official releases. Interestingly enough, they are on the GitLab though. And last up here, it appears that Apex Legends anti-cheat may have been compromised in the worst way possible. It happened during the North American Finals and on stream. So it appears that Imperial Hal was hacked with an aimbot and Gamberton was hacked with a wall hack. You can see it happen in real time. I'll drop a link to this tweet in the description below. Now the story, as weird as it is, seems to check out. It didn't appear that they were intending to hack. It appeared that someone hacked them to give them cheats and to screw everything up. And Apex Legends Esports tweets out, due to the competitive integrity of this series being compromised, we have made the decision to postpone the North American Finals at this time. We will share more information soon. While it still remains unclear as to the actual source of the hack, the running theory is that it's through the anti-cheat, but some people are saying it's the anti-cheat, some people are saying it's the actual game, and some people are saying it's something else. Anyways, here the remedies for this are all over the place. Some people are saying just to reinstall the game. Some people are saying to reinstall your operating system. Some people are saying to uninstall the game in every single EA game, anything that uses EAC. Unfortunately, we still don't have a clear picture as to what exactly happened, and I'm hoping we find that out soon. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and one fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.